All right, guys, I'm back, and I have with me Zomba, the Prince of New York, one of the best, if not the best, Rob. I'm gonna start this off differently because normally, I'll ask questions, but I interviewed SkyJ, and I asked him if he wanted to ask you any questions, and he told me this is his question. He said, "Why do Rob players keep naring to land when they get punished for it the first time?" Like he says, "Why do they keep doing it when they know it's not gonna work?"
So usually we do that because we're like super. Can I curse? Right?
Yeah, you can curse. Yeah, go for it.
We're pretty stubborn. Like it's a huge problem. Like with a bunch of the worst Rob mains. Like when I fight like not top level Rob mains, like say even high level Rob mains, it's like pretty disturbing how much I do it or they do it. And then when I watch back my VODs, I'm like, I'm low-key kind of bad at it too. It's just because it's such a broken option where it's like people are like fine with mashing it, but then once you keep doing it over and over, and then like sometimes you get punished for it, and sometimes you don't, because I still think people are like pretty bad at like most Rob counter play. If you're not getting punished for it, like mostly it's fine, but obviously, but if you get punished for it, most people don't really understand how to land besides using that one broken option. So they're like, they usually kind of just fold and fumble. Like in those scenarios, as Rob, you could just be mixing up like with fastballs and stuff like that, which I started like trying to do more. But I'm a masher at heart, so it's tough sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing a character where you can mash too, so.
Yes.
I actually have. Okay, here's a question. Why do you main Rob? You're like 12. You don't even know. Like, you probably don't even know where he's from.
So there's a funny story of that. Do you know Stretch and Dill?
Yeah.
So this is before quarantine. Back then, me and Stretch, we are both from Staten Island, and we were traveling to New York to go to like a local. And during this time, I was still like better than him and stuff like that, but I wasn't like super dominant over the region back then. And this one time, I beat Dill, and in winners finals, I kind of just lost to Stretch. And then in losers finals, I lost to Dill in the run back, and then Dill destroyed Stretch. It was like a 6-0, not even close. And then on the way back, I was joking with him. I was like, "Yo, next time we play each other, I'm just gonna Rob versus you." And at our sub-region local, I go Rob. Without practicing at all, I won. And then I was like, "Shit, I'm lucky gonna pick him up now." And that's actually, I'm not even joking, it's actually what made me start picking him up.
Really?
It was literally a total meme. I didn't intend to play as him. And it was like, oh, I won.
Yeah, because what, you were playing Link at the time?
I was playing Roy and Link, and it wasn't like I played Link. Like, I actually like had PGRU wins and stuff like that with him even back then.
Okay. Shoot, Rob's amazing, so.
Okay, bro.
Yeah. So, wait, when was this? Like, what, was this like 2019?
Yeah, I think it was 2019. December too, because this is a local that I usually didn't go to. And me and him went together taking like public transportation, so we had like a bunch of like free time, and like the whole time back there I was like, damn, you're bad, I'm gonna beat you with Rob next time and stuff like that. To say I did beat him with Rob next time.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah, I was gonna say, because I think we played each other.
We played at Let's Make Big Moves and the Squad Strike bracket, and you asked me if I was the player that had a jackal fall out of his side.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I was. At that time, I was transitioning more to Rob, but that was actually my first major. So okay. I was still trying to see like who I want to play, because this is the time where I played all of them like pretty equally. I wasn't like necessarily a super Rob main. And since my first major, I like just wanted to test things out. So like in singles bracket, I fought 3 top players. I fought Goblin, who I actually didn't even go Rob at all for, because it was best of 3. I started Link, I lost. In game 2, I went Roy and Wen, and then he won game 3. Then in the losers, I fought Rido, and I was like, I don't know what the duck I dug. So I went Rob, and I just won. And then I fought Wadi. I did the same thing I did for Goblin. I went Link game 1, I went Roy game 2, then I went Rob game 3, and I won game 3. Then I just lost game 4. And then after that, I was like, I got a PGR win with Rido. I didn't even go Rob versus Goblin, and then my Rob did better versus Wadi than my other characters did, and I got like 2 other good wins. Good wins at the time. Like now it wouldn't be like as good, but like I beat like a Civil Ninja and Tony Z Tank the Sonic. So I was like, you know what? I definitely think my Rob did better this tournament than my Roy and Link did. I started playing him a little bit more after that. This is like right before Lockdown 2. So during lockdown, like there was no way I was gonna play Link on Wi-Fi and I could just not get compared to everybody else. And since I wasn't also playing Wi-Fi as much, Rob was just the easiest out of those 3 characters. So I was like, you know what? I feel like right now I just kind of have to stick to being like a solo Rob player since I just didn't like Roy on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. Rob is definitely super good online. Yeah, I feel like at one point you were like super grinding Wi-Fi events. You even like entered my sub tournament.
So I wasn't like super grinding it, but I definitely entered stuff. So what I did more during the Wi-Fi era was doing randoms money matches with like notable top players, right? I played with like Louis Money, Bestness, or Spencer. I used to grind with those, and like it kind of helped with like building more fundamentals around the game, even if it was like random doubles Wi-Fi money matches. And we used to be degenerates with that too, like playing until like 3 in the morning, like streaming it and stuff like that. That was my main practice. Because I did like some Wi-Fi tournaments, like I did your Wi-Fi tournament and stuff like that, but I didn't like Wi-Fi tournaments. Well, nobody did, but I didn't like Wi-Fi tournaments just because I always felt lazy, and I was like, I'm in my computer, I'm like, damn, I have a thing in like 5 minutes, and it's like, or just DQ and stuff like that. I mostly played, my actual more serious grind stuff was in our sub-region. I just have like a couple of friends that like, we host Smash Fest like 2 to 3 times a week, but they weren't like necessarily like top players, so it was still like kind of hard. And at the time I kind of got it myself when we started going back and I started doing good and they weren't as good, where I was like, do I feel a little bit like left behind because like I wasn't really playing with like the best practice, but I mean it worked out for me. So
yeah, I mean honestly I feel like to get better you don't necessarily have to be playing the best of the best like constantly, as long as you're able to kind of feel like you're actively thinking and just figuring stuff out. That's the important thing.
I applied like a bunch of like different scenarios and like thoughts when like playing it. Like this is old. Like this is before like anybody like actually knew who I was besides like New York scene and stuff like that. Once I started like doing more offline stuff, like when we came back, that's when everything like kind of shaped together. It was one specific event actually where it kind of marked, I think, my difference with like my old playstyle and my new. And there was like a tri-state regional, right? I went, Quid went, Jackal went, Leon went, and so on. I think it was called Cross Up. And so before quarantine, I was still like, all right, I wasn't like a top player by any means, definitely not. I was more so like the up and comer. Like I was just like 12, by the way. I was like the up and comer like kid. Like I was just playing like in tri-state brackets and like consistently beating almost everybody besides a few people. But those few people that I couldn't beat, I like literally could not beat, right? It was like disturbing set records, right? But at Cross Up, I beat Jackal for the first time ever since the very first time we played. You know why? Right before I said, because I was friends with him, right? And we were like digging around, and we didn't even know we had to play because he got upset earlier on. So we were talking with each other, and I was like, yo, so like, why do you think you're farming me so bad aside from I was a dumb 12-year-old Link main? And then he was like, you usually like, you'll be doing good and like you could be beating me for a while, but then right when I have you in disadvantage or stuff like that, there's one option that you keep doing, and it would be the Zomba without being aggressive. So like without like the jokes and stuff like that, I would be using back air to like try and recover more, like, you know, like to move myself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But back air is like still pretty laggy, like even if it's not like hitting people and stuff like that. So he would see back air like almost every single time. It'll just leave me open and he'll like up air me at 80 and I'll die when he's like at 140 and I'm like, oh shit. And he like show me specific examples and I'm like, damn, I'm really bad. So then I stopped doing that and he stopped killing me super early. In that one tournament, I think I 3-0'd him. Like it also wasn't like that close. Like it was like a good set, but it wasn't like, looking back on it, it wasn't like, damn, I was like sweating really hard. It just looked like I played damn good and I kind of just won.
That's actually hilarious. So he basically taught you how to beat him.
Yes. And then, yeah, if I remember correctly, our set record before quarantine, he was like 1 in like 14, 15 on me, which is like, that's disturbing, right? That's just not close at all. And now 31 to 26 my favorite, which is like, that's,
wow.
If you take into account like without any old post lockdown stuff, that would be like my 30, his 15, which is like, that's pretty insane.
Yeah. So you feel like the specific moment where like you just drastically improved was him telling you to not bear?
To not be an idiot, basically. Because it's like more nuanced than that, obviously. And there was like a few other scenarios where it like made me help more with like thinking about the game. That like him telling me like in disadvantage, like it's like a pretty obvious concept, right? Like just don't do the same thing over and over again. Like truthfully, like it's not like I was doing it every single time. Like there's more reasons he was beating me than I was just doing a bad back air and disadvantage. But that was like the main thing where it's like I can still be back airing a disadvantage, but I can't be doing it as close to the, like, say if Wolf is able to punish me from like he's on the PS2 class, so he can jump up like a bit higher. If I'm up here, he still can't catch me. He literally just can't jump that high. But if I'm over here, he's able to hit me, and obviously if he can hit me, I could potentially die and stuff like that. Every story of me like having some sort of like holy shit, that's broken moment is a stupid funny story. So, Epic Gabriel, right? Best Rob player on Wi-Fi. I was watching a set of him in a Wi-Fi tournament because at this time, like, Gabe was in our friend group and he was like still a lot better than all of us. And this is also when I was playing Rob a lot more. So I was like, okay, what's Gabe doing? I watched him put gyro down at ledge with like shooting it out and like throwing it down, and then he would run back to bait out an option and then run forward again and then like nair the like ledge and stuff like that. And then it kind of like makes you like, when I saw that, I was like, shit, that's actually so broken because it's like if you neutral get up gyro, if you jump, he's gonna nair you and you're gonna die. If you roll into him, when he's running back, he's gonna hit you. And it just made me think a lot more of like what I could be doing to cover like so many options at once with so many basic like things, just because Rob's literally able to do that because he's so broken in those scenarios. And an Epic Gabriel VOD taught me that, and I was like, I'm horrible at this game. Why have I never ever done this before? And now I do it a lot.
I mean, it's so simple. Like I feel like every Rob does that though. It's like it's broken, like you said. Like at the time, like I was just dumb. I like didn't like my motivation for the game during that time. Like I still want to be like really good, right? But I knew I was good because like even when I wasn't doing like say the money matches, I was like obviously was still do like mains and stuff like that, and I was like beating people or like getting really close. I was like, okay, like I know like fundamentally and solidly I'm good. There's like just something I'm missing, right? And something was just like thinking, like literally just thinking, which I think is like the biggest issue. Not just Rob players, because when I talk with other like good reps of characters and stuff like that, or when I just play them, I'm like, sometimes I feel like they're not thinking. But then again, I know like there's definitely other top players that are like, what the f is Zomba thinking about? Like, is he stupid? Like, what does he keep narrating in his way? Like, why does he keep doing the same things? But I feel like when I play other players, it's like if they're not like super good, they like just don't really like think. It's so stupid because it's like, okay, well, I mean, people are thinking while they're playing, but they're not like actively thinking about like genuine like good things to be helping them about the game. It's mostly like just like basic stuff like what does my opponent do, XYZ and stuff like that, without thinking like more like higher level concepts about it, which is like what definitely separates like super top level players from like this is like a really good like PGR contender or like already PGR just not super high up, if you know what I mean. I mean, I feel like because you're making it sound like way more simple than it actually is.
I mean, there's like more nuance to it, obviously, like, but it's like obviously like there's so much to like top level Smash, but I feel like that's like a super main component because thinking kind of just goes into every concept about the game. It's not like I mean obviously, right, like you're thinking about it, but like active thinking, think about it that way. Like you can't just think more simpler things about the game. Like say if, I don't know, you think a character like can't like do a certain option at ledge. Well, maybe someone's like, okay, I'm gonna only stick to one like ledge trap option. Maybe some people don't really like think about what they could be doing, but then like other like good players can think about like what other options they could do with like say like when I do like back air at ledge. Did you know Rob back air can hit ledge hang? That's broken, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Literally, like say putting a gyro down and then starting the back air, that's two separate different things where even if I whiff the back air, the gyro is going to be covering it, and now it's like that adds like extra depth to like that one scenario where they could die super easy. They could just get cheesed, get hit by the back air. Okay, now you're off stage when Rob hit you with a back air in your horrible position. If you get hit by the gyro, you're in again a horrible position. I could just down air you now. Like those scenarios, I don't really think like if you ask like another Rob player, like they're probably either like throwing gyro down and going for an up smash, or like just doing the back air where it's like they don't really necessarily try using all like the super good options at once.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it just comes down to not necessarily people not thinking about it, but they just have it muscle memory. It's just like a muscle memory thing. It's just too heavily ingrained in them. They have to work it out.
It's like to say out loud, it's obviously easier.
Yeah.
Like when you're in stressful situations, like I'm not always putting a gyro down when I'm trying to do my extra ledge drops. I'm not like always doing like the best option. Like it can work, but it's not like it's necessarily a good option just because it works. But that type of stuff like just comes with like when you play so much in top level, like it just kind of like, okay, you can sometimes just know what your opponent's doing. I actually talk about him a little bit. I'm like friends with Last, and he coaches Leo, and he tells me Leo kind of sometimes just knows what you're gonna do, right? And he said, one, that makes him super hard to coach, but two, that could also make him like super cracked. Because imagine at all times if you knew what your opponent was doing when you played, right? Like, you know, imagine how broken that is. Obviously, Leo doesn't know that, or maybe he does. But when he like knows what you're doing and actually gets the right read for it, that's when it becomes like a big like mega brain scenario of like advantage state Leo out neutraling you, right? I have that thing. It's not as good as Leo's. Leo's obviously much better at being advantage neutral and all that bullshit. But I still like, it's not like I have it set in stone of like what I think you're gonna do, but sometimes in my head I'm like, I think this person's gonna do this option, and say if they do that option, then I'm even more prepared to like punish it and act upon it and go for like an even better punish than I would be to like normally just like react to it, just because you're like, you feel even more ready to like do what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. When you're anticipating something, your reactions are even like higher. So yeah, what you're saying makes sense. I have to ask, you tweet a lot about how Rob is bad, like jokingly.
Yeah.
So I want to know, how good do you think Rob is actually?
So I like talked about it with a bunch of like good Rob players and stuff like that. I personally think he's top 10 currently. I think he's either 10 or 11th, and I think he's super broken. And I think as more time goes on, with like, say, if I continue to do better, if Anathema starts doing good, like Anthony was like a good like PGR player, but before Rise and Grind, nobody was thinking him as like just super top level player. But then after Rise and Grind, it's like, holy that was insane.
That was a crazy
run. You know
run.
what I mean? Like, I think as more time goes on, Rob is probably going to get a lot better and a lot bigger in the meta. Do I think that could be a little issue because people bring it up a lot? Like, think of like all the Steve players and stuff like that. And think about all the people that already complain about Rob. Maybe. But I feel like when I say that it could happen, I feel like it's only going to happen in like a while. I do think Rob is one of the like super most pushed characters just because of the type of character he is. Like you know the memes about like Smash chords being like pretty dog shit about like character discord and stuff like that. I think Rob, like genuinely the Rob Discord, like aside from like a few like people that just like don't really know stuff, like the people that like actually like are willing to help and the more like metagame combo stuff, like that stuff is like super good. And I think the Rob Discord's like unironically one of the probably most helpful ones for like getting good, which I think is also really good for like building a better like Rob like competitive community, if you could say.
Yeah.
Like obviously like not everybody in there is gonna be a top player, but some could with like genuine like what they see in there. Like I can't do like most of the stuff that I see in there, but imagine if like Anathema, who's someone that's like a lot more technical than I am, is like able to apply like most of the broken stuff. Know how broken that is? Like genuinely, just so broken. Like it's actually unfair. I hate the Rob ditto. And if you find a good technical Rob, I hate it. I like fighting Robs that are like me that just scrap. Because other than that, it's just I feel everybody's pain. Rob is so horseshit.
Yeah, so I've been constantly saying on my stream that Rob's the GOAT. I think Rob is the GOAT of Ultimate.
The only thing that I think kind of stops Rob from like being in the higher, like super like top 5 and whatever is just because of his matchup spread and the other like also meta relevant characters, but that could just always change. Like if I find like more like Aegis counterplay and stuff like that. Compare my Glitch Infinite to Shine. I lost to Cosmos still. However, those sets were like night and day for like the skill difference. And even like back then, like at Glitch Infinite, like Cosmos was like still like much better than I was and stuff like that. Like I was still like relatively new, where he was like pretty seasoned and like tough matchup and stuff like that. But then playing at Shine, where I felt like I had a lot more options than I once thought I did, and I had like a better mindset to the matchup. I still think the matchup's dog shit, right? I mean, nobody's saying like Rob does good versus Aegis, right? Because that's just Rob. But I definitely think I opened my mind up more to the matchup, and I used to think about counter picking with like Falco, Lucina, and stuff like that, but I don't necessarily think like that's a good option at the moment, at least, just because one, they're not as like polished as my Rob is, right? And two, I already worked on the matchup so much. Like, remember, were you watching Rise and Grind with me and Leo?
Yeah.
Winners Finals? That set, he 3-0'd me, but unironically, it was a pretty close set for someone that especially like he plays with Big Boss like almost every single day. And like, I'm still better than Big Boss, but that's an insane amount of matchup knowledge that one person has for a character. And then also, on top of that, really bad matchup. But I do think there's other like super good meta relevant characters that kind of make Rob struggle, like Roy. I don't know what ESAM's general plan is, because that matchup's also horrible. But ESAM and Shiny Mark, if they start traveling more, that's also going to be a bit more of an issue, because just horrible matchup. Then if I fight Meister in my path, that matchup's really bad. That's like probably Rob's worst matchup. And then on top of that, like Palutena, like most characters that Rob struggles against are more so, there's a lot of reps of them in top level, and it's kind of unavoidable if you want to be doing really good. Remember Smash World Tour? 3 Aegis in top 3. I'm Rob. That's tough. I gotta take that out. Right? But yeah, I feel like that's the only like true hardship that Rob has, and as time goes on and the meta develops more with Rob, like I learned recently there's like some, I can't even explain it to you, but it's like some extra drab combo that can allow you to carry like fast fallers and stuff like that to stage more. Guess who gets like pretty hurt by that? Roy and Aegis. Yeah, like I saw like a bunch of like combos on them that it's not kill combos, but it's like really good, like putting them at ledge, disadvantage and stuff like that, which if you're Rob, theoretically, if I have someone off stage and they get back, that's my fault. I have so many options and tools where I should be killing people if I'm good enough off of one interaction, just from either getting a read or just reacting to like what they do. Obviously, I'm not a robot and I can't do it every single time. It's unreasonable for me to like think I could do it like every single time, but it's there and I know it's possible. You know what I mean? And that's like the kind of thing, like it kind of balances out. Like even though like those matchups are bad, one, Rob's cheesy as and two, he's also good. So it kind of still works out. Only matchup that I think is genuinely like, I still think I need a counter pick on is Game & Watch. But there's also not a lot of Game & Watch players besides Meister. Actually, 2 tournaments, I fought this same Game & Watch player in pools. It was best of 3. It was game 3, and I was my pants both times. And genuinely, that character, hard counter picks Rob. Which, I know it's like telling on myself, because why would I want to tell people that? But it's kind of like an open secret. And also, that is a character that genuinely counters Rob. I remember fighting Meister at Smash Bros. Tour, and there was one game, I only took 1 game off him, right? Which, oh my god, still at the time, like that's super good. But that one game, I killed him early. I spiked him early twice or whatever, and it was 3 stocks to 1. Guess what? He brought it all the way back to Lost Augustus, and then I just killed him at the end. And in my head, that whole time I was like, yeah, I won that game, but like, did I it's not like a 3-stopped him. It's not like I won convincingly. Like, I literally was up so much, and then I kind of fumbled it until I killed him with like some random option at the end. And then that kind of like, you know, it's not like I really like took that. Like, I still took the game, but it's not like it was necessarily something where it's like, yeah, I took a game off Meister. It's more so I just made sure I didn't get reverse 3-stocked by Meister when I was up 100% on his last stock when he's Game & Watch. Which is two completely different stories.
So, two things. Your Shine Run, or at least your set versus Cosmos, I watched that. You definitely had that set. I don't know if you remember, but there's like...
I do.
There's one... Sorry.
I remember it every day, man.
I was going to say, there's one specific moment where you went for a downer when you should have paired a side B and you would have killed him.
I misinputted twice, and I just did the wrong move when I shouldn't have another time. So the first time when I was up 2-0, and so this is like kind of grimy, but I can't really do anything because I sometimes don't play with headphones just because I don't. Sometimes some headphones I just don't like the feel of it. And I guess Shine for this one I just didn't like the headphones they provided.
Oh, okay.
And
wait, really quick.
Yeah.
Some advice: if you feel that way, bring your own headphones and then tell them that you want to replace them. They'll do it.
I started bringing mine, but like sometimes I still don't like playing with headphones just because it's very weird. Some events I'm like, I'm gonna listen to my own music. Sometimes like I'm gonna listen to game audio. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just gonna do no headphones. It doesn't matter, right? This one I chose no headphones. I don't even know why. I just didn't want to this time. Well, when you don't have headphones on, you can hear the opponent's controller. This is just an unfortunate side effect of playing next to each other, right? I think this is low-key cringe and I hate it, but it's competition. You know what I mean? You gotta use what you gotta do if it's unfortunate. You can hear someone's controller. Can you guess what I'm getting at here? When you down throw them, you can hear their mash.
Oh yeah.
And you can hear if they're not mashing. So when I fought Cosmos, I heard him start mashing, then I heard him stop mashing right when I was finished. And if I reacted a little bit, like if I noticed like, oh, he stopped mashing, I wouldn't have set because I went for an up air that it was catching a mash, right? Just because like usually people like try mashing really hard. And last time, like I know Cosmos has pretty good mash. So I went for the up air and it didn't work because he did the no mash, right? If I reacted to it a little bit earlier, that was just a free up smash and I beat him 3-0. And the other times, like when I was edge guarding him, I just did the complete big misinput. And game 4, there was another misinput I had and I lost at the end because Dale told me about it a bit later, but you know when you're kind of like running and then you like kind of go back, you can't like shield in that little window. So I didn't mean to do that, like I just mean it like to shield. But since I did like the little skid animation and I couldn't shield, I got back aired and I died and I was like, oh shit. And in game 5, I just kind of played shit. So it kind of happens. That was definitely a set where it's like, I should have won. It was not Cosmos playing good there. It was more so me playing bad. Well, like Cosmos was still playing good, don't get me wrong. But that was something where it's like, I literally like say the odds of me winning were 99.9 and he was 0.0 or 0.1, and it's Clutch Most came out. Clutch Most was really out that event too.
He was.
Oh my god, I want to mod about this real quick.
Okay.
Tweak was up 2-0. Cosmos SD'd game 3 at 0, and then Cosmos took like 30% after and won the game. And I was like, huh? I was in the crowd. I was like, oh, I'm going to fight Tweak now. It's like almost guaranteed I'm in Summit. Let's go. Then I see Cosmos win the game, and I'm like, okay, I'm losing this tournament. GG's. Yeah, Cosmos is the best player in the world. And you know, it actually did happen. That's actually funny.
Yeah, Cosmos just goes on like these crazy tears sometimes.
Dude, everybody jokes about Chocobos. I genuinely have not seen him Chocobos. I only see him clutching things out. At Glitch Infinite, Losers Finals, he reversed 3-0 Jake, if no one remember that. Imagine how I felt. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna fight Jake in Grand Finals? I was hype as f***. Now I'm fighting Cosmos. I was not hype about that. Shine, yeah. I'm fine with fighting Tweak. If he goes DD, okay, that match is a little harder. If he goes any of his other characters, I think it's more likely to win just because I think Rob kind of does pretty decent versus at least better versus Diddy Kong, and also there's less of the pressure of like, if I lose this, then there's like, okay, or if I fight Cosmos, there's a little bit more in the line because Summit and just extra like benefits of getting into Summit and stuff like that. It's not like at the time, like I'm not thinking about Summit when I'm playing, but just like think of it like in your head where it's like, oh shit, kind of just blew my chances. Whereas like a normal bracket, it's still like, you know what, I'm finally fighting Cosmos. It happens, you know, like even if it was like the same thing. And I kind of trolled, not kinda, I did.
Yeah, I mean,
be like that.
Yeah, it happens. Okay, wait. The other question I want to ask. So you mentioned the jab thing. Is it the forward throw, back throw, dash, jab? Is that the thing you're talking about?
A throw, jab, dash attack, and then it kind of gives mix up of like what you want to do after. after the dash attack, forward air isn't true, but one, most people, like, you can still get stuff off of it. And two, it helps more with like, one, it's more percent no matter what. And two, if you're able to perfect that, you're gonna be setting that, like, say if I'm in the right side, now I can get them off stage on the left side, which is kind of insane to think about with the added percent and like the extra, like, say if I do hit a forward air, now they're in like a worse position than when I would just normally forward throw them. It's like pretty interesting. I don't know how they come up with this bullshit, but they did.
Yeah, no, I think I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, oh, what the hell?
I assume every character can do it, but most characters don't really have super good combo throws as Rob does, just because Rob is broken. It kind of just works well with him. Like, I'm sure, like, I don't think Wolf could do anything with your jab, much less off of a grab, which is...
You can do like forward throw and then like dash jab lock. Yeah.
I feel like that's like, well, like the Rob thing, that's just true.
Yeah.
Like, you have to hold that. Like that's like extra mix. But I mean, but yeah, that's like mostly a pretty good option. That's also another thing, like the Rob Discord found it out. I'm not lapping dash cancel jab. What am I, a nerd? No, not a nerd. The Rob Discord though, they got my back.
Just reaping the benefits.
Yeah, I'll take it.
So I want to talk about this. Smash World Tour, you get into the last chance qualifier, you have this crazy run. I feel like that was the event where like that just made you like a household name in the Smash community. Do you want to, I guess, talk about what your mindset was going into it, and then like how everything went?
So once stuff opened up back, and like Riptide was the first major, right? That actually people went to, and at Riptide, people don't know, or they probably like I've already know, and like it kind of just left their head. But I actually got a pretty good win at Riptide. I beat Louis Money at Riptide, and then he top 8'd. I was so tight about that because if I lost to Louis Money, I thought I had an amazing bracket path to top 8 too. But I beat Louis Money, and you know what my reward was? I fought Tweak, and at the time I still wasn't as good. You know, I wasn't like this super top player. I was just a pretty good, like, high-level player, right? Fought Tweak. He won 3-1. And it wasn't like he farmed me. It was like, I took a game, it was pretty close, and it was a pretty tough matchup. I was like, okay, I kind of learned a lot in that set. Then I lost in losers. I hate Yoshi. But anyway, then CEO happened. CEO was literally a week before Smash Bros. Tour. I lost in pools. Guess what character? Yoshi.
Is it J Mafia?
Yes, it was J Mafia.
I feel like I remember watching that set.
I hate Yoshi. I went on this huge losers run, right? I mean, to me, like that losers run, like I knew I was better than everybody was fighting. It kind of like felt more unfortunate for them, just because at the time I was like, okay, I'm definitely good enough. And I went on a losers run. Then I top 8'd. I beat Toast and Myron, and I lost to Kola, who won. So I was like, okay. Even though I got like 5th, it's like still pretty good. And this is also when I started like kind of doing really good in region, right? Like I was beating Jackal more consistently. I was winning the tournaments more. It was like, okay, I definitely like a lot more confidence. And then Smash Bros. Tour happened. I entered the online version and I lost my round 3. I trolled. I went in Incineroar. I didn't take it seriously. And then I went in the losers
wait, why? Why did you go in Incineroar?
Well, I wish I could answer that, because I was just trolling.
Oh, okay.
Like, genuinely, I was just trolling. I was at my cousin's house, and then he was just watching me play, and I was like, I lost. And I won a lot of sets then. You know who I lost to? Cosmos.
Oh, I think I say Yoshi.
I lost to Cosmos at Smash Bros. Tour online. But the actual Smash Bros. Tour, when I got there and stuff like that, it was a pretty easy. I only had to fight like one actual top player to qualify. Guess who that was? Louis Money. He was someone I beat before at Riptide. And the set at Smash Bros. Tour, I think it was a 3-0. It wasn't really that close. And the last game, I lived to like 230, and I killed him. Because he like, or I didn't kill him, he SD'd at like 50.
230?
Yeah, he couldn't kill me at all.
Alright, wow.
And it was like, it was from like winner side too, so I was like, okay, this is like super good, right? I didn't even lose a set. And I got like a PGR win. Actual main bracket. So we got our groups, right? And I was really confident in my group, except for one player.
Meister. Yeah.
Yeah, tough matchup. But I was fine with Riddles, I was fine with Tariq, and I was fine with the other person. I beat the other person, the last, like, you know, like the worst player in the pool was like just a 3-0. Me and Tariq, it was a 3-1. And let me talk about the actual, like, super top, like, top 10 players, right? Me and Riddles, that set was not close. I don't know if you watched that set. I don't. Have you seen it?
I don't think I saw it.
Riddles is my boy, but that was like, there was one 3-stock, and then it was either 2 2-stocks or 1 2-stock and 1 1-stock, but it was like it wasn't that close. And I felt pretty confident because I was one of the Rob players that thought Rob on Terry, right? And everybody's like, you're crazy, that matchup's not that good. And the whole time I was like, but Terry's like so easy to edge guard, he's so free, right? But I beat Riddles, and I felt like, okay, like I honestly thought I was gonna win that set, right? He was one of those tough players where I was like, I think I have a pretty good understanding of like what he would probably be looking for and what, I don't know how good he would be at dealing at Rob's bullshit. So it kind of worked out. Then I fought Meister. Already talked about Meister, but yeah. I think he won game 1, I won game 2. People are like hyped, they're like, oh my god, Zomba can win the set. I low-key couldn't win that set back then. I definitely wasn't good enough, and I only won the game 1 or game 2 because I like got super early kills. That's not something that's easy to do at the time as Zomba. You know what I mean? He won the set, but there's still one more set that I haven't played. Meister and Riddles. Riddles beat him, I think 3-0 or 3-1. And because of that, I was actually the victor of the pool, which made me go out winner side instead of loser side, which when I lost to Meister, I was like, I think I've done ski 1 skis, I'm in losers. I wasn't. And I was pretty hyped about that. Guess who I fought round 1 of the championship bracket?
Was it Leia?
His name is Cosmos.
Oh. Dude, you and Cosmos play a lot.
It was game 5. I was shambled. I probably threw Omega hard. If I beat Cosmos, I would have had to fight Spargo. Yeah, so I lost to Cosmos, and then I fought Shuton. Me and Shuton set was low-key unfortunate, because I don't know if you remember, but Underdog Boost was on that event, right?
Yeah.
That set was affected by it. I think right after it, or when I had to fight Ken, that's when I saw the tweet and I was like, I'm gonna go check it out. And it's unfortunate me and Shuton had it, but I watched the setback for my own like ego and stuff like that, because like, okay, did I like cheese him off Underdog Boost, or did I like feel like I won legitimately? I watched it back. I don't think I cheesed him. And when the buzz said I didn't cheese him at all with Underdog Boost, I was like, I won that shit legit. It's kind of unfortunate. I don't like super count it, especially because I've also played it more recently at like recent tournaments. So it's like, okay, this is like in December. Then I fought Ken. Me and Ken, that was when I was clutch as Ken, game 5, I was down 3 stocks to 1 versus Sonic, and then I won. I remember very vividly, he started like mashing super hard in disadvantage, which Rob, if you're mashing in disadvantage, it's pretty easy to punish you as long as you're not like Game & Watch. So at that point, I like hitting him more of like back airs. I was catching his landings with gyro, and then now it's 1 stock to 1 stock. He's nervous as now. He threw a huge lead. It's Smash Rotor. He's like, oh my god, I'm in a whole different country. Like, so much on the stake for him. Whereas I'm like, now I'm making this huge comeback. Then last stock, I got like some good back air read on his spin dash, and I killed him at like 80. That's so broken. And he died. And then I fought Kola. Me and Kola set, I remember it. I was up 2-0, and he was bringing it back. Me and Kola's thing, we're like friends, right? We just played a whole set at PS2. We're like, okay, just play it out. But after I was up 2-0, that's when he was taking it like even more seriously now. You know, like one more and he's out. He says, let's go Kalos after I do my band, right? And I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm like, I mean, if you want to, I think Kalos Rob is broken. Almost everybody thinks that. But then he started winning. Then 2-0 became 2-1. Then 2-1 became 2-2. And now game 5, if he wins, he reverse 3-0s me. But he didn't. It was like last stock, he was up like 120%. Yeah, I was at 120 and he was on a first stock. He does a jab on my shield and I punish it. And like that was Roy off stage and stuff like that. And during this time, Kola struggled a lot with his own disadvantage, right? Like I told him all the time because he would complain about Rob. With reason, but he would complain about Rob. And I'm like, Kola, you jump all the time at disadvantage. It's actually disturbing. You're top like 5 in the world and you should not be jumping into my laser 100 out of times. He jumped into my laser. He has no jump. Literally 0 options. I baited his up B out because I mean it's the only way he can make it back. I baited it out and then I side B him and he was already guaranteed dead. And then, yeah, that was it. He got cheesed because he instantly jumped to disadvantage. Kind of unfortunate. And he won our next sets, so I'm malding because I haven't been able to cheese him off stage. Then after Kola, I lost to Cosmos again. Very uneventful. I kind of got farmed. I only took a game.
I feel like what I'm hearing is like Cosmos just like keeps ruining your bracket runs.
Every time I do super good, Cosmos decides to clutch out. Smash and Swear, Glitch Infinite, now Shine. I just need him to, I don't know, just drown in pools. I needed to happen. I don't like it, man. I kind of need a win, but yeah, that was Smash Bros. Tour, and that is definitely when people like took a lot more notice. Because one, it's literally a Smash Bros. Tour, right?
Mhm.
New top Smash player, everybody was like excited. It's like, oh my god, there's Zomba now, Zomba. And then with that, it just carried more momentum. Like now I had like a lot more confidence at majors. Like I literally did do it now. It's not like I knew I could do it. I legitimately did do it.
Mhm.
And then now, now it's almost been a year, right? I've been consistently doing it since we continue doing more majors, and I don't plan on stopping. And it's like one of those, like, I keep doing it. It's not like it just keeps going off the momentum of it. Because, like, at this point, like, Special Tour, like, it's still old, right? Or not still old, it is old, right?
Mhm.
That's like, it's like basically a whole different meta, right? Like, Shuton, guess who he picked up? Aegis.
Yep.
I don't like that. I wish he would stop. Ken, now he picked up Sephiroth. I beat Ken our last set, but it was still like a pretty close set. It was like game 5, if I remember. And then Kola, Kola just got better as time goes on, right? It's not the same, like, every bracket's gonna be different. If you have this exact same bracket, like, I guarantee you, there would be like some extremely crazy shit that's just going to go on that, aside from Zomba, like, I don't know, like anything could literally happen. And it's that's what I also like about, like, Ultimate. I know some people like complain about it for some reason, but I kind of like how there's like so much, like, the talent pool is very close to each other, where it feels like literally like any given day, like either someone can have like a huge super good run and break out really good, think of Anathema, think of Onin, or the already top level players can just contest each other like even more. Like think of Cosmos at Special Tour. Like Cosmos is still considered a top player, but nobody was really thinking he was gonna beat Spargo, much less beat the Buzz. Like, nobody's really thinking that. Usually when people think of Cosmos, like even back then when he was a top player, this was like someone that, like, he'll like top 8, he'll get like 5th, maybe 4th, but he wasn't someone that like beats literally the second best player, goes toe to toe with the best player in the world, and shows us like, damn, Cosmos is good as shit. He's not like just like a super good top level player. He is that, but he's a little bit more, and that's what I like super like the most about like this current like meta. Like everybody's like close in skill enough to like sometimes you can like literally lose to, like, a bunch of like super up and coming like PGR players, and it's like, yeah, like maybe if I lose to that, like I shouldn't be, just because like how much better I've gotten. But it also shows like how good the community is compared to like say other games which are a lot more like consistently like, I'm not going to talk about their metas just because I don't know it as much as Ultimate, obviously, but I would assume Ultimate is probably at least one of the most bigger esports that has this level of like upset talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Ultimate is crazy competitive. It's like you said, it's fun to watch because so many things could happen. Like literally, just one interaction could change how a set goes. Okay, so I guess last question I'm gonna ask you is, what are the next events you're going to be at?
Actually, next major, not Summit, I can tell you that, but I'm going to Glitch. I plan on Big House, plan on the Ludwig Invitation. Well, I don't plan on that, I am going. I'm going to Let's Make Moves Miami. I'm going to Port Priority, Apex. I'm like pretty much guaranteed for Smash Bros. Tour just because of points. I'm going to that for sure. And I'm going to main stage. I plan on Panda Cup too. I wish there wasn't 2 circuits back to back. So much traveling, but it's probably going to be a huge bag if you do good.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than not having either, right?
Did you see the prize pools for Special Tour? They like kind of announced it today, and it's still going to go up. Did you see it?
I don't think I saw it. What is it like?
I'll tell you right now. So first makes 40K.
Okay.
Second makes 20K. Third makes 12K. Fourth makes 9K. Fifth makes 6K. Seventh 4. 9 2K. 13th 1,400. And 17th makes 800. And 25th makes 500.
Damn.
Which, yeah, that's pretty good, especially from last year. Like, I got 4th last year, and I got 4K. And then now 7th makes 4K. Like, I want 9K. Like, I wanted that money back then, but I don't know the Panda Cup. I don't think that ever got announced, but I would assume since Nintendo's kind of with it, it would have some money in it. I don't know. I'm not too knowledgeable on that, to be honest. But yeah, I'd definitely rather have the $40,000 the $40,000 like tournament than no tournament. Like,
okay, so one more question. What are your socials? Where can people follow you?
So Twitter.com, Salvatore Zomba. That's my Twitter. Twitch, I've been streaming recently, but it's Zomba SD. I'll plug it in. My Metafy, it's just Zomba. You can just see it there. But yeah, that's really it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you again for doing this. It was fun.
No problem.
I feel like I've never actually talked to you. It's good talk.
Thank you.